Hi guys, it's another flip lesson. I have lots of cats in here tonight, so maybe you'll get to see one. Hold on, I'll show you one real quick. Ignore the dirty laundry. That's dirty laundry. This is Eliza. Eliza. She's ignoring us. Eliza, isn't she beautiful? Okay, back to the notes. Okay, you saw nothing in the dirty laundry. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about political geography. And remember, political geography is, there's politics involved, but it's not so much about Republicans and Democrats as it is about nations and states and how things are divided up. So a state is not exactly a state the way we think about it in the United States. It can be that. But additionally, it's an area organized into a political unit and ruled by an established government. So a country can be a state, a nation can be a state, a city can be a state. So it has, a city can't be a state, I lied. In fact, a state isn't necessarily a state, which is weird, right? Because the government has to have control over its internal and foreign affairs. So, a state occupies a defined territory, and it has a permanent population. So, for example, Ohio, it occupies a defined territory, and it has a permanent population, but it doesn't have control over foreign affairs. Like, Ohio doesn't really have control over the United States' foreign affairs with other countries. A state has sovereignty, which means independence from control of its internal affairs by other states. And because the United States has federalism, states have sovereignty to some extent, but they don't have complete sovereignty. There are things that the federal government decides, and then there are things that the state governments decide. Okay. The United Nations was created at the end of World War II to serve the role of a facilitator for discussions regarding international problems, and at times the UN has intervened in conflicts between or within among member states. UN membership has increased rapidly on 3 occasions. The first of these was in 1955. 16 mostly European countries joined as a result of the Nazi Germany breakup. The second time the UN membership increased rapidly was in 1960. This was when 17 mostly former European colonies joined. So they were former former African colonies that had become independent nations, and they joined the United Nations. Goodness, speaking is hard tonight. And then the third time was between 1990 and 1993, when 26 countries joined as a result of the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia breaking up. So those countries became independent and joined as separate nations. So what you can see, maybe, I can barely see, so let me see if we can get closer here. There are 193 members. The dark orange are the original members, of which are 51. The smidgen lighter orange are the 8 members who were added in the 1940s. The lightest green, are those that were added in the 1950s, of which there are 24. The more lime green are those that were added in the 1960s, are 42. The bright green are those that were added in the 1970s, 25. The sky blue are those that were added in the 1980s, there's 7. The peacock blue are those that were added in the 1990s, there are 31. The lilac, my eyes don't see any of those. Do your young eyes see any? Okay, well, there are 4 there somewhere that were added in the 2000s. Excuse me. And then the lavender, they were added as one. South Sudan, way to go, South Sudan, added in the 2010s. Okay, let's scooch that back a smidge. Here we go. So, some challenges in defining states. A disagreement exists about the actual number of sovereign states as a result. Oh, this is so fun because Jared and Josiah and I were talking about Taiwan today, and Western Sahara, Elizabeth and I were talking about. So, good that these are on here. So, the disagreement exists about the actual number of sovereign states as a result of historical disputes involving more than one claim to a territory. So, China sees Taiwan as part of China, whereas most other countries consider China and Taiwan to be separate. So, Jared asked this question today, so I went and looked it up about whether Taiwan was separate or not. So, most other countries do see Taiwan as separate. However, they do not recognize it as independent because they don't want to get in trouble with China. And that includes the United States does not recognize Taiwan as independent because they don't want to have a bad relationship with China. And then the Western Sahara, the Sahrawi Republic, excuse me, most African countries consider the Western Sahara a sovereign state. However, Morocco claims the territory and built a 2,700-kilometer wall around it to keep rebels out. That's one way to tell people that's your territory. So if you look at the atlas that we were using today, you'll notice that both countries are yellow, so showing that Morocco claims that territory. So there it is. Look at that. Ours. They built a wall around it, claiming that territory. Okay, then here's another challenge. Polar regions. Who gets polar regions? Who wants them? So several states claim portions of the South Pole. For example, Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the UK. Some claims in the South Pole region are overlapping and conflicting. Argentina, Chile, and the UK have overlapping and conflicting claims. The U.S. and Russia and many other states do not recognize claims to Antarctica. So there's a video that I show about the Cold War and World Civ, and it says, I think it says nobody owns Antarctica. So if the U.S. made this video, then that would be the U.S. perception of that. Whereas, if Chile or France made this video, they would indicate the portions that they control. So the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea permitted countries to submit claims inside the Arctic Circle by 2009. So if you look there at the South Pole, that shows where countries claim. And you can see, so Chile claims from this point over to this point. However, that overlaps the United Kingdom's claim. And the United Kingdom's claim... Oh, I see. So Chile is this dark kind of maroon color, and the United Kingdom is this light orange to there, and it also overlaps. So the United Kingdom and Argentina claim they own the whole same bit. I wonder what's there that all three of those countries want, and why nobody wants this part right here. Must be full of penguins. Okay, and then we have Russia. So here we have up at the North Pole, where we have areas that the United States, Canada, Denmark, Iceland, Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Russia are claiming. And then the places that are striped are places that are disputed claims. And then the places that are gray are unclaimed, and the places that are blue are international waters. Okay, so the development of the state concept is traced back to the Fertile Crescent, so Mesopotamia, and we have the evolution of states. The first states were known as city-states, which are sovereign states that are comprised of towns and their surrounding countryside. You recognize this term all the way back to the Roman Empire and Italy when it first came about in the Renaissance. So walls delineated boundaries. The area immediately outside